Welcome, Badass Manifester. I am so glad you are here. I'm your host and head coach, Ashley Gordon, master mindset and manifestation biz expert, founder of the Quantum Coaching certification, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur obsessed with empowering you to create quantum leaps in your energy, your life, and your business. This is the show to help you make magic your everyday normal, where the ripple effect is real and the guest experts are world class. My mission is to power your conscious and subconscious mind with manifestation teachings, business tools, and coaching techniques to put your potential into action. Consider this your weekly up level. Are you ready for quantum transformation? Let's do this. Hello, Badass Manifester. Welcome back to another episode. I have a guest episode today, and her story is so inspiring. I'm really, really excited because I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a past of being a jack of all trades and I mastered none. But, however, and everything that I've ever done has led me to who I am, where I am, what I'm doing today. And I think so many people can relate to not having a super linear path where there's a lot of ups and downs along the way of finding your true calling, of figuring out what it is you're meant to do on this planet. And Lizzie's story that you're about to hear is so inspiring. She has really gone on a journey of being someone who never considered themselves a risk taker in life, who always took the safe route until the safe route was no longer safe. And that is so inspiring. That's why this story is so inspiring that you're about to hear, because so many of us have been put in those situations where we think what's safe is the right move, and then we come to realize that we're so wildly uncomfortable and almost in pain. Like our soul is being squashed in this environment that doesn't feel safe and anymore. And her story is all of our story in some way. And so she will share her story, how she went from corporate to jumping into a new entrepreneurial venture, investing big in this venture, and realizing that it actually wasn't the path. But that path is what led her to her true calling. And now she is a career coach. She is a Quantum Coaching Academy alumni. She is such a bright light. She is speaking on panels. She is helping so many clients, and she has had some amazing success since QCA. She shared with us in the interview that 2 months after graduating from the Quantum Coaching Academy, she had made her investment back, which is amazing, and also has helped so many clients. And she's not just attracting clients from social media. That's a huge gap that a lot of people feel could be a barrier to their success, is that they have to go on social media. That's not how she's attracting clients. She's attracting clients in so many other ways that she's going to share with you. But her story is going to really, really impact your heart and soul. And to give her a proper intro, I want to introduce Lizzie Korsgaard. She finally realized her career calling, and now she's here to help others do the same, just in a shorter amount of time. Lizzie is a career coach using the power of asking better questions to help her clients gain career clarity and overcome the fears that are holding them back so that they can finally get started on their courageous journey towards a career and life that they love. She used to be very familiar with being successful on the outside, but feeling empty and unfulfilled on the inside. And she had a successful corporate career that you're going to learn all about in the financial industry, but her heart and soul yearned for something more. And her depression, anxiety, and burnout all told her the same. After 10 years in corporate, she decided to prioritize herself and leave the corporate world. And now you're going to hear her story. And before we jump in, I want to officially invite you. I am doing a free masterclass. I've never done a training like this before. I've never done a masterclass like this before. And it is called Become the Dream Coach. Become the Dream Coach Masterclass. I will be sharing my 3 biggest secrets that helped me from wishing that I could be living that dream coach life, wishing that I could be living that dream, to actually living the dream impacting people and becoming a sought after, wildly successful, and paid coach. This training is going to take you exactly where you want to go, and it's totally free. There's only 3 opportunities to join me live for this training. So make sure you click the link in the show notes right now and register for the date that works best for you. I am so freaking excited to help you really step into your purpose, your mission. That is literally why I'm here on this planet, and that's why you're here too. I'll see you at Become the Dream Coach Masterclass. I'm so excited to have Lizzie on the podcast today. Welcome to the Badass Manifestor podcast, officially official.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so pumped. So I kind of want to just jump in with right off the bat asking you a hard question. I don't know, maybe it's not a hard question, but the question that's coming to me to ask you is right off the bat, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you consider yourself a risk taker? 1 being not at all, 10 being I am a risk taker.
Ooh, that's a hard one. So right now, wait, so 10 is I'm a risk taker. Right now I'm probably like a 7 or 8, but I feel like I used to be like a 2 or 3.
So I would love to kind of flash back to that part of you who used to like be risk averse, and would love to know like what that mindset of Lizzie was and kind of your journey to feeling more like a 7 in the risk taking department.
Yeah, this is such a fun question. I feel like for most of my life, especially my whole career, I was very risk averse. Like spent 10 years in the financial industry, but I was always doing what I was supposed to do. So I think that was also the people pleasing part of me and perfectionism. But I think perfectionism is really tied in with that risk aversion because I was like, I don't want to mess anything up. I'm going to do everything perfectly. And I'm going to just follow this path that's laid out ahead of me and work up the corporate ladder and all of that. And then during that, it was like, okay, I'm successful on the outside. I'm doing all of this. I'm managing all my risk. But on the inside, I'm like, I'm feeling empty. Something's missing. I'm not fulfilled. I can't figure out what it is. Like, why can't I just be grateful for what I have? And I think there's a part of me that I didn't realize at the time that just wants change and adventure and new things. And I was maybe getting bored or stuck. And so I decided to leave my job. I didn't have anything lined up, but I was like, I need to quit both for my mental health, but also this like inner like feeling of like, I need something else and I'm not going to find my answer here because I've been looking for it for the last 10 years and it's not come up for me. But I think even then, I think I was considering myself risk averse. Like I had looked at all my finances, like how many months can I go on my savings without a job because I wasn't looking for one. And yeah, so that was in 2019. And it wasn't until last year, like 2022, that it hit me that I am actually not as risk averse as I thought I was, because everyone was pointing out, like, obviously quitting your job without having like anything to really fall back on or without looking for a job, that's in itself inherently very risky. I didn't see it that way because I thought I had calculated and figured everything out. And since then, I've just made more and more decisions. Like I had moved to London actually right before I quit my job, which some people also was like, that's big. And for me, that kind of felt easy. And then just as I started my own business and kind of moved along this whole journey, which I'm sure we'll get more into as well, there's just decision after decision, which yeah, they were kind of risky decisions. And then that kind of led to QCA, which was another big decision. That's probably the biggest decision I made in the last year, or made about a year ago now. And that felt scary to me. But I still went ahead and did it. And so, yeah, I feel like now I'm starting to identify more with like, I take risks. So that's why I think the scale is now 7, 8.
Wow. That is so interesting and so cool for you to have done something that I feel like most people are really, they want to do, which is quit their job. A lot of people want to do that. And you did that. And it didn't feel as risky to you because you had like calculated all the things that you would need to survive essentially
Yeah.
to get to the next, place. But there is something inside of you that knew that you would get to that next thing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what that voice inside was telling you at that time. How did you trust that voice?
That's a really good question because I think at that time I felt like I didn't have any other choice. Like I
Yeah.
had been waiting so long for the answer of what am I meant to do to come to me and using my brain to try to analyze and figure it out. And it just never came to me. And so there were a lot of things that had happened before that, like my dad had passed away. And so I'm like, okay, life is too short and I need to go out and find whatever it is because I haven't been able to find it here. And I remember there was a moment that I was thinking, like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, what's really the worst thing that will happen? And it was, I still don't find what I want and I will go back and get a job. And for some reason, I was confident that I could get a job. I don't know where that confidence came from in that moment, but there was just this knowing that I will be okay. I will figure it out. And right now, what's most important to me is sorting out my mental health, which I had really very much attributed to um, this sense of like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, kind of this lack of purpose. And maybe that's why I was depressed and anxious. Um, and so it was really, I felt like my only choice.
Thank you for sharing that because there, like you said, there's a lot of factors that played a role there. And it's interesting how those factors kind of harmonize together to be like, yeah, you don't have a choice. Like this is the path. And sometimes life kind of forces us in those directions when we don't like it wasn't an option for you to
Yeah.
really stay. But it's nice to know that you can always get a job. It's like, yeah. So you realize, okay, so amazing. And you took that risk, you quit your job, and you had moved to London before that. How long were you in London for?
I moved to London that January and I left the job in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you moved home.
Yeah. Well, no. So I also have this like part of me that wants to be like a digital nomad and things. So I was like, I'm gonna just travel the world and just figure it out. And so I spent some time with my sister who was in the Netherlands at the time, and then traveled a few places like Croatia and other places in Europe. And then eventually, yeah, I think 10 months later, I came back home to
Did
Jersey.
you? That's amazing. That's amazing. How was the digital nomad life? Did you love it?
It was harder for me. So for me, because I hadn't figured out my purpose or my calling yet, it wasn't what I thought it would be because I couldn't enjoy the trip. Like I was in a beautiful place, like sitting on the beach, like, oh, I should be enjoying myself. I've been wanting to come here for so long and I couldn't enjoy it because internally I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like
Yeah.
I'm just wasting time and money here and I'm still not any closer to knowing what I want to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was not as enjoyable as I thought it would be. I still love traveling. I've just recently learned that I just need to be intentional about the travel. Like, am I traveling for like a work thing or a business trip essentially? Or am I traveling for fun and like leisure? Because
Yeah.
it's a different mindset to be in. And I have a hard time juggling both at the moment. So yeah.
I can relate to that. Yeah. Very, very interesting. We can get to that in a little bit for sure because that's interesting to discuss and dig into. So, okay, so you quit, you were traveling and what like how did you come to the realization that you wanted to become a coach?
So
Like
that
how did you because I know like I'm hearing like you didn't know your purpose, you didn't know your calling, you didn't know what you were really meant to be. Like how does one discover that?
well, I discovered it in a way that's very different from what I work with my clients to find their But I literally, again, was trying to figure it out for my head. I was like, what are the skills or interests? What do I want? So I had listed like travel planner, like travel agent type of stuff, or like, can I travel around and like be kind of those travel influencers almost, or event planning, or sell paintings. Even though I don't consider myself a painter, I was really into painting at the time. I was taking lessons and things like that. And so I think I was listing like everything I was passionate about. And I was like, I still am not clear. And at one moment, I was just so fed up with myself. Like, why don't I know? Why can't I figure it out? And I just made a decision. I was like, it's going to be photography. I didn't even have coaching on this list because I didn't know coaching was really a career option.
Right.
And so, yeah, I picked photography, and the universe just works in beautiful ways. The very next day, my friend, who I hadn't even told about this decision, asked me if I was like, hey, aren't you interested in photography? I have some friends based in Brooklyn that have a photography company. They're looking for photographers in New Jersey. I know you're in Jersey. Do you want to, like, are you interested? They'll help you and like train you up. So I was like, okay, that's perfect because I've just decided I'm doing photography.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was really interesting because I love taking photos. It seems like very natural to me aesthetically and all of that. And I was never like trained in it. I never went to school for photography or anything like that. And so learning all the settings was really fascinating. So I did event photography, weddings, birthdays, baptisms, things like that. And then I just quickly realized like I'm more introverted and I prefer one-on-one connection. I'm not the one to like be loud and corral huge groups for wedding photos.
Right.
So, and I didn't want to give up all my time. I wanted to have freedom. And so weddings and birthdays are on weekends or special evenings. And I didn't want to give all of that up. And so I found brand photography, which was working with business owners and taking their brand photos and all of that. And so I really loved that piece because I got to really connect one-on-one with these beautiful business owners and like help them with their dream and their marketing and all of that. And so I thought, oh, this is it. This is perfect. It combines my like project management skills that I have naturally as well, but also that was my main career in corporate. And I get to be creative in the photography space. I get to use both sides of my brain. This is perfect. Like I've landed it, like this is it. And then at some point I was like, this is so hard. Why is it so hard? I know I have to learn. I have to be resilient. I have to work through it and all of this. It's new. And still, I was like, this is still too hard. Why am I getting frustrated? And I started realizing I wanted to go deeper with my clients. So there were some that really knew what they were all about, their purpose, their calling, and we were creating beautiful photos for them. And then there are others that were like, I just need photos. I'm like, I want to go deeper than just hair, makeup, outfits, locations. I know those are all important, but that's not what I care about the most. That's when I realized, oh, like I just love having deep connections and conversations. I want to go deeper. And during this whole journey, I had hired my own business mentors or coaches, and I started to realize that coaching is a career and something you can do. And it uses a very natural skill set of mine, which is being curious and asking a lot of questions and kind of digging in. And I was like, wait, I can do this as a job? I can get paid for this? So when I realized that, then that's kind of when I switched to coaching. Yeah, there's a lot more, but I'm going to stop there in case you have questions. And you're on mute, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really incredible how sometimes we follow that breadcrumb trail of what we think it's going to be and then it turns into something completely different. Like I would bet to say like you don't regret going down the path of photography.
No, I honestly think I needed to go through that to get to where I am for so
Yeah.
many reasons, because that was the first business I had started. And I have very perfectionist tendencies. And I do have more of an operations background, which I absolutely still love. And I'm very naturally just like, oh, how do we make this process more efficient or better? And so
Yeah.
for my photography business, I had set up all the systems, all the back ends. It was running perfectly, except no clients were coming through because I
Right.
hadn't done the marketing or like gotten clients through. And so when I switched to coaching, well, first of all, there's a whole other story behind even doing that switch, because there was a lot of fears and stuff I had to overcome there. But essentially, when I started coaching, it was started very imperfectly, because my business mentor at the time said, like, you're not setting up any systems. You're just going to go get the client. I'm like, how am I going to, just don't worry, just go get the client. Make sure that like you do like this, and that like you can figure out the rest as you go. And so that's how I did it. But I know, even if a mentor had told me that like 2 or 3 years before, I wouldn't have listened. But this time around, because I knew of my experience with the photography business, I was like, yeah, you have a point. It didn't work that way the first time around. So let me lean into just that whole imperfect, messy start and just do what's important, which was serving clients and helping people with their careers, rather than worrying about if all the systems speak to each other and are set up properly.
It's so true. It's so true. I think a lot of people enter into any business and they think like, okay, I'm going to work on the back end. I mean, I worked on my quote website for years before I was like out there in the world doing the thing that I meant to do. And to this day, my husband makes fun of me. Like, he'll come home from work and he'll be like, so how was working on your website today? Like, he still thinks I'm just working on my website. I'm just kidding. But it's just interesting how that's really like a big part of the journey of like breaking through our limiting beliefs and our imposter syndrome to like really feel comfortable putting ourselves out there. So that was really good coaching that you received.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like when you start, so when did it occur to you that you like didn't have all the tools you needed to coach someone? Because I think a lot of times, like people are like, I want to be a coach, and they go through their own personal development program, or they have a coach and they're like, okay, I know how to coach. I have a coach. I've been through, Manifestation Babes program, and now I'm ready to become a coach myself. And I know what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
then like, it's like a harsh reality when you're face to face with someone and you're like, shit, do I know what I'm doing? Am I making an impact?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think coaching is so powerful, because my business coach / mentor at the time, besides encouraging me to just get started and not worry about the systems, also was a huge help in me realizing like I have my skills and my experience to start coaching. So like get over the fear and just go help someone. And so I went with that and I started. I got a couple clients, and it was really around like, okay, I can ask the questions, I can help them, but essentially I was mentoring them, which obviously I learned through QCA, sort of the difference between a mentor and a coach. And so I was helping them from my own personal experience, what I had gone through and what I knew. And that made me a little nervous, because I know that there is, like, we all live different lives and have different personalities, and what helped me might not help someone else. It might not resonate in the same way. So there's a part of me that knew that. And then there's also a part of me that was still working on like, no, it's just my confidence. I have to just work through it. I can do this. I just need more practice. And that was going well for a while. And then I realized I was very good at getting to the root cause with my clients. So the first one that comes to mind was my first client. And it was very easy for me to get to the root cause. So she wanted a job that was fulfilling, and we were starting to work on resume and things like that. And at the same time, we were able to dive deeper into the fact that she really needed to work on her self-love a little bit more, because that's what was holding her back. And thankfully, I had done a lot of self-love work myself. So I had some like techniques or tools and things she could try, which thankfully helped her. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, but what if the root cause is something I'm not familiar with, or I don't know how to help them? And so I had this fear that I could get to the root cause, but that's where it stopped. I wouldn't know how to help them through it or like handle that.
Yeah. Bring
And so
them to the other side.
Yeah, like actually help them get through it so they can transform and actually go do the thing they want to do. So that was really one of the main moments when I realized like I need more tools. I actually like need something in my toolbox to help me actually work through these things with my clients better. So that's where QCA entered my world.
That's so cool that you were like, okay, what I'm doing is working, but then you thought about what if someone brought something up that wasn't self-love related at all?
Yeah.
How would I work through that? Okay, so how did QCA come into your awareness?
That's a very good question. I feel like the universe just presented QCA. So I I sign up. So I love learning. So I sign up for a lot of freebies and things like that, or like master classes, and I'm just absorbing so much information. But that also means my inbox, my email is
Yeah.
overflowing with so many emails. And so somehow I ended up on your email list. I still don't know how, but I ended up on it. And one Monday morning, I saw an email. You were talking about your podcast episode on NLP.
Yep.
And that is something I had been interested in. Like, so I've been looking up obviously like coaching questions, and then I came across neurolinguistic programming and all these other things. So I was just in the phase of doing my own research. Like, how can I actually help people through these root causes? So I was
Yep.
just starting that research. And in the inbox came this email around your episode on NLP. I was like, okay, I can listen to this while I have a late breakfast. So I was listening to that episode. Very good episode, by the way. And at the end of it, you're talking about your free event. And that was starting literally half an hour or an hour after I finished the episode. So,
Wow. So you
okay,
were in the vibes.
I was in the vibe. I'm like, okay, I just met you. I don't know who you are, but I liked you from the podcast. You talked about NLP, which I was interested in, and you have a free like 4-day event or something. So I joined that, and I just like felt like I was in the right place. And I feel like the universe guided me to you and QCA. And you just kind of spoke to everything that was in my head. So even like mentoring versus coaching, and like how it's different, and how powerful coaching is, and me realizing like you have all the tools that I need to help people through whatever the root cause might be that we end up at. And a bonus for me was I was I knew I wanted to improve kind of the coaching questions and learn how to coach properly. And then there was also a large part of me that simultaneously was interested in energy healing and various other modalities. And I can get shiny object syndrome a lot. And so again, I love learning. So I could like dive into multiple things. And I also knew I had to focus. I'm like, if I'm going to do coaching, I want to do it really well. I don't want to get sidetracked. And there was a part of me that still wanted the energetics. And then here you are with QCA saying, like, we'll teach you coaching and these energy healing modalities.
And 7 other certifications.
I was like, oh, this feels like the full package. So that's how QCA came into my world. And that free week was just so incredible. And I just knew, like, okay, this is for me. Like, thank you, universe, for bringing this to my attention.
Wow. That's so cool. I'm also going to thank the universe for bringing it to your attention and to everyone else who had sent our way, because we really attract like the most amazing students. We really do. Like, I'm not even going to lie. And we'll get into that because Lizzie is going to be leading a retreat with some of her QCA sisters and graduates. And it's just, I can't wait to share all that with you. But I also just want to say that I'll never forget our application call, because it just, okay. So from my perspective, Lizzie's like, just like she's saying right now, she knew it was perfect for her. It had everything she was looking for. She knew it's what she needed. And the same thing happened on our application call, where it was just, we were vibing and she was sharing her vision. I was like, we can provide all the support that you need to get there. Like, it was just so aligned. I was like, oh my gosh, she is like the perfect fit for QCA. And I'm ready to sign Lizzie up for Quantum Coaching Academy. And something immediately shifted. Like, as soon as we were like getting to that point of enrolling you, your energy shifted dramatically. And I'm not like a pressure person. Like if you've ever been on an application call with me, you know, like I don't apply pressure. I just ask, I coach you. Literally, I coach you. So when your energy shifted, and feel free to interject at any point, but when it shifted, I thought to myself, okay, how am I going to approach this as the coach in this moment, as you know, someone leading this call? How do I want to approach this with her? Do I want to just let it go? Right? Because you can do that. And this is good for you if you're on any sales call. Like you see the energy shift and you're like, okay, they need to like go through their own process. Don't really address it. Just end the call, basically. Be like, okay, she wants to think about it. Great. Like that's it. Or I can call out what I am feeling in the moment as the coach. And we teach you this in QCA. It's like, how do you discern how far you can go with a client? And that's dependent on the rapport that you had built in that session, right? And I felt like her and I had really good rapport. So I decided to take a risk, speaking of risk, and say, hey, I just felt the energy shift. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I just felt the energy shift and I'm just curious what happened there for you, right? Just calling it out. And do you remember what happened for you?
I do. It was very clear. And I think thinking back on it, your coaching was so amazing. I'm glad you coached me through it because I know the power of like questions and how they can shift you. And I feel like you really shifted things for me by really thinking about like the best case scenario. Because what had happened for me was it was just fear that kicked in. It was like, okay, I had just made a pretty large investment with my other business coach and mentor, which was totally different. Like they weren't teaching me how to coach. It was mentorship and like marketing and business things. So it was totally different. But I had just invested a lot of money and then just restarted like a whole new business. So who knew how long that would take to be profitable? And I had this fear that, okay, like I had kind of calculated how far my money would go. And here I am, and it's another big investment for QCA. And I know I'm not ready to go get another corporate job. And I felt like I had to kind of make that choice. And I was stuck in like worst case scenario, like, okay, my business isn't going to do well. I have to go back to get a job. And I was making all these assumptions and like worst case scenario meanings from investing in QCA. And then I remember you shifting it to like, yeah, but I could also see the other side of you not having to go get a corporate job,
Right.
getting clients into your business. And so just kind of shifting my mindset more to the best case scenario and like all
the possibility.
Yeah. So that helped me kind of shift. But I think I was still so stuck in this fear that it wasn't really shifting very much on the call with you.
No, you had to like be in your process.
Yeah. And the other thing was, I think I left it with you saying like, I know this is perfect for me. I know QCA is like the place for me. I wasn't even considering any other programs. Like I knew if I'm doing a coaching certification, it's QCA. For me, I think it was more around like timing rather than do I join in January or do I join in the summer? And yeah, you were very nice about it. Like you left me to decide. I think you asked me what my human design was as well. And I was like, yeah, I'm a manifesting generator and I'm emotional. She's like, okay, that makes sense. You're an emotional like person. You need some time to kind of process.
Ride the wave.
Yeah, ride the wave and process your decision. So I'm really grateful I got that time and space. And so for me, it was just a matter of when do I join? Because I knew I was going to join at some point. But it was a question of when do I join? And even at that point, I remember you shifting that like, yeah, you can join in June or July and then be certified by the end of the year. But it's like, why would you wait a whole year to feel more confident and to make a difference? Like, and that's when I remembered, okay, like, yeah, I can get more clients now and I can coach them, but I'm still going to have the fear that I can't work through the root cause with them. Do I really want to wait a whole year and go through that for a year? No, I don't. So I ended up signing up, but I'm so glad I did because there's been so many transformations along the way up till now. And
I want to hear about those. I really do. I want to just go back to that for a moment though, because that's a huge, what's it called? Obstacle for people when they're making the decision of joining QCA. Like, when's the right time? Is it now, or what if it's in the summer? I just had a call with someone like that, and I paint the same picture. It's not, the decision's up to you, up to you. We're going to be here and we'll be welcoming you with open arms, whether it's now or later. And what's the vision? Like, what's the vision that you have, and how can we support that vision coming true faster? Like, is it now or later? Because I think when people push it out to later, it's like it stays a possibility, but they're not taking action on it yet. And that does hinder like the business that they attract inward, because they don't have that confidence to really handle the people in the way that they want to.
yeah, I feel like looking back now, I would have majorly regret not having signed up for QCA, because we'll get into the transformations, but I would have, if I hadn't joined QCA, I would probably have just learned a lot of things, like tried different things, and it would just have taken me longer. And I don't know if I would have been as successful as I am now without QCA. And I feel like the way that what actually helped me was I had, with my other business as well, just tried so many different things on my own. And I know it's so much faster when you have like experts helping you, like people who've done it, know what you're supposed to do. And so it really also helped me just, again, like focus on one thing, because it's such a big commitment. I'm like, okay, this will keep me on track. It's already aligned with my goal and my vision. So like, why not? So yeah, I did. That felt really risky to me to make that decision. But once I did, it was just like, okay, this is so exciting. You get access to all the material. And I'm like, I can just dive in and learn. And it was amazing.
Wow. I'm so glad that you said yes to that, to following that. And it's also interesting as someone who, like, you're a career coach. So you are actually going through that same process. Like, people can be miserable in their career for a long time and try and figure out on their own what their next move is, or they can really quantum leap in, their decision making and their happiness by hiring someone like you to help them figure it out much faster, more efficiently, like getting to the root cause, like going, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a parallel process, what you went through to actually what you do with people.
Yeah. And that's part of why I do what I'm doing, because yes, I spent like the 10 years wondering like, okay, what's missing? What do I need to do? But once I quit the job, from when I quit corporate to when I realized I wanted to do coaching, was like 3 years. And it doesn't need to take 3 years. I mean, yes, I appreciate the brand photography. That was like a big stepping stone for me. And I feel like I got very lucky in that sense. But there was also certain things that I did to actually make that shift and have those decisions made and overcome the fear that comes with these courageous decisions or risky decisions. And so, yeah, you can go so much faster when you have that guidance and work through those fears and limiting beliefs. So, yeah.
I was just listening to this thing by Alex Hermosi. Do you follow him at all?
No.
I'll send you some of his stuff. But he was just saying, the difference between me and you, or he wasn't saying me and you, but he was saying like there's a difference between people that take months or years to make a decision and people that take a day or an hour to make a decision. And their life looks a lot different than the people that hem and haw and decide over time what is their path and and it just like really collapses time in such a powerful way. And yet you needed all that time to make a decision. I can relate to that too. Like, when I decided to become a coach and then actually put myself out there was like a couple years there where I was like, what are you doing? Working on my website. You know what I mean? Like, not putting myself out there. And I look back at that time and I'm like, why? You could have been so much further ahead than you are now. Like, but you can't regret that either. You have to appreciate it because it's part of your story. It's part of your lesson. And we're literally telling you right now, like, we are telling you from the other side what's possible, you
Yes.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think even leaving corporate, I feel like I knew I wanted to leave within the first few years. So maybe let's say that took 5 to 10 years of like deciding to quit, and then 10 months, almost a year to decide, okay, I'm going to do photography. And then my decision to switch from photography to coaching, the moment, I think it took me a day, at most a weekend, to
That's
decide
amazing.
like I'm shifting, even though there are all these fears around like, well, people think I'm a failure because I have
Right.
got this business down. And what if this is just another, like, I'm changing my mind again? Like, I don't really know what's going on. But that, like, when I realized coaching was like my calling, it felt different. I
Mm.
never felt that way before. It was just very like, it was a sense of release or relief and like coming home to myself. And I do remember there was like a lot of fears to overcome, some cathartic crying like one Friday. And I was like, okay, well, it was because I knew I had to do it, even though it was scary. And then the next day I went on a hike with friends and told them I'm switching to coaching. And then the Monday I told my business coach or mentor that I'm switching to coaching. So yeah, it was much quicker. So that's what.
Unbelievable. And what would, like, I think back to my younger self in that way, like, and maybe you in corporate, and I thought, you know, what what would have happened if I would have been more decisive in those moments, not in regret, but just thinking for my future, like
Yeah.
using that as a lesson to propel me for the decisions that I'm going to have to be, that I'm going to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that way too. And then at the same time, and you alluded to this before, it's like I'm so grateful for all the experiences I
Yeah.
had, because I know corporate taught me a lot of things. I know the photography business taught me a lot of things. And part of me feels like, okay, I wouldn't be here today without all of that happening. And yes, I still think about like, okay, how much different could my life be now had I started coaching years ago? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think
absolutely.
I would love to kind of switch gears into the transformation of, post QCA life, because I think a lot of people, they're like, I know in the beginning I was like, I don't even know if I can make money as a life coach. I never knew. I mean, it's way more popular than it was like 7 years ago, at this point. But it's like I didn't know what was possible. So can you just share openly, like, what's the type of income that you're making now in this new career after getting certified and knowing everything, like learning everything that you have, and the impact that you now have?
Yeah, it's it's pretty amazing to me because I did like photography for 2 years, I think, and I'm like I'm just coming to like a year, I think, in my coaching, and I've already made more than I did 2 years in my first business. And so
Wow.
that's been really incredible for me. And I know there's always a lot of like money mindset work you have to kind of work through. Like, I had created a 3-month program, which for a while I thought maybe that's too expensive. Maybe people are right. And so I kind of went down to a lower investment for individual sessions. And now I'm like very like middle of QCA. I was like, no, like this, now I have skills and the tools, and I see the transformation I'm making for my clients. So I'm going to stick to the pricing that actually feels right, or the investment rather. So now, let me see, I think since graduating, I'm trying to see time wise now. Um, Now I have like consistent 4-figure revenue, which is
Wow.
pretty amazing because it's been 5 months of that. So that's, I think, since graduating QCA. So just to kind of, yeah, I know within 2 months of graduating, I had like my full investment into QCA returned back to me. So that's like a ROI
Wow.
in that. So that was really, really incredible. And then I think I've like 2x'd it since then, which was like 4.5 months. And so it's just really incredible of like what's possible. And I think what's even more incredible is the more you kind of offer and like find ways to kind of create your programs to help more people, there's no ceiling on what you can make. You
Mm.
literally decide the investment and help people, and they're going to want it. And so Yeah, it's really possible to, like, first of all, get the investment back that was made into QCA and then very quickly start making like 4-figure consistent months. Now, do I want more? Yes, of course. But it's just so incredible how quickly this has happened. And for me, just how almost effortlessly it has happened. Like with my other business, I feel like I was working really hard to get clients. This time around, because I was in QCA and really focused on it, and I have personal resistance to some marketing that I'm working through, I haven't been actively marketing in the way that I feel like maybe I should, or that would bring in even more clients. And so my result of like consistent 4-figure revenue was without actively marketing. So I can just like imagine when I do start actively marketing, like how much more that will just continue to rise. So,
And would you say that it's all coming through word of mouth?
it's a lot of it is like referrals or within my network. I did do some marketing on LinkedIn and Instagram. And so some of it has just come from people finding me on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah. So it comes like, it's been from my network, like a few people I used to work with referring like their wives to me, or someone I
That's
meet at
amazing.
a networking event being like, can you work with my son? And then a few others finding me on Instagram or LinkedIn. So yeah, it's interesting. It comes from just different places. I haven't really controlled where it comes from, which is really beautiful.
It really is. And I feel like there's so many things I just want to echo here. So you got your ROI back. You made your ROI back
Yeah.
2 months into QCA or after QCA?
After graduation. Yeah.
Okay. 2 months after graduation, you made your ROI back.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing. And then since then, it's continued to grow. You've like, did you say doubled it, tripled it?
Doubled the ROI. Yeah.
Doubled the ROI, which is insane.
Yeah.
And you aren't necessarily putting yourself on Instagram every single day marketing your business.
No.
And I feel like that's a huge point to make because so many people say to me, I'm not like you. I don't want to be on my stories every day. I feel weird marketing myself. I feel like, am I really going to be able to build this if I don't go on Instagram or if I don't put all my eggs in that basket? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a way to market before social media, and those ways still work. Like, I haven't done this, but you could still put up flyers at cafes, like things like that, and put business cards everywhere. There's so many different ways to do it. I think it's just finding what works for you. And for me, I love, again, connecting with people. So whether that's getting back in touch with my network or going to in-person or virtual networking events and just kind of connecting and sharing, people either need the help that you're offering or they know someone who needs it. And so that works. Yeah. It might take a little longer and take more effort, but if that aligns with you, it's absolutely worth it.
It's so true. I mean, I started my business in person. I don't know if you knew that. Did you?
No.
Yeah. So like I didn't even know the online world existed when I started my business. I started working, talking to people, networking, and hosting small workshops in my local community. And from those small workshops, I started offering 30-minute free coaching sessions. And then those people would sign on as clients. And then I got a small office space and I started seeing clients out of my office.
Oh,
And I literally did not know the online world existed. And then one day someone said to me, do you ever hear this girl, Manifestation Babe? You should follow her. And she was launching a course called Digital Course Babe. And she had messaged, I think just a bunch of people that followed her and was like, hey, have you ever thought about having a digital program? Never crossed my mind. And shortly after that, I got a discovery call from someone in like India. And so it was the universe was showing me there's more, there's bigger, there, you can reach more people if you come online. And that's how I ended up learning about the online space. But otherwise, you're right. There's a million other ways to market yourself that have nothing to do with the internet.
Yeah. And I love that story so much. But I also, for me, when you were mentioning India, I also have international clients
Yeah.
already. It's really cool. Like
That's so
one is in
cool.
Korea, one is in London. And so it's really cool what can happen. And I think that would like, that's also through, again, my network, and someone found me on Instagram, and it's just really incredible what kind of can happen. And so, yeah, I'm just thinking now, like how much, maybe I could be 5 figures a month if I was actually going all in on all cylinders on marketing. Yeah, but
Well,
it's,
I'm curious what your just if you don't mind sharing it, like what is your fear about going all in and the resistance that you have there?
a great question. Something I've been asking myself. I think some of it is part of me at times want to be more private.
Yeah.
Like I sometimes I was saying this the other day. Sometimes I really just want to go into a cave into the woods and just like live somewhere off the grid. And at the same time, I'm like, well, I can't help people if I'm not out there.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's just me trying to find that right balance of like, how can I still serve and do what I feel like I'm here to do, and still manage my own energy. So I am more introverted as well. And so I just kind of need that time for myself to recharge. And
Mm.
whether I'm like, I'd rather spend that energy on actually connecting with people, and like,
Hmm.
I think I lean more towards like the networking and in person because I still enjoy that. And I think on social media, I mean, I know you can view this differently, but right now, like talking to just a video, like talking to myself just feels weird or
Yeah.
like empty. Like I kind of need that feedback and to see how the other person is receiving what I'm saying. Um, but it's something I'm kind of working through. And I realized this also with the other thing that happened during QCA, which I don't even really know where it all came from, but actually I do. It also came from networking. I was invited to be a speaker on a panel, and that was also interesting for me because, again, I'm speaking to people, but at least for me, I loved it because I could see people's reactions and face expression. Oh,
Yes.
like they're nodding, they're smiling. Okay, what I'm saying resonates. I can give them more.
Mm.
Versus if I'm just doing a Instagram story or a reel, sometimes I'm like, who even needs to hear this? Is this resonating with anyone? So I feel like there's just this block of, I need some feedback and I'm
Right.
not right now. But I guess I know for social media, that's where the engagement comes in. So you'll get comments or people joining live. And so once you kind of build that up, I think I can get there. I think for me, it's just
It
a
just
lot of time management piece
I
too.
was going to say, it sounds like a time management energy piece
Yeah.
that you're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Like you're taking your time figuring it out to see what aligns and what feels good for you and what capacity you have for that.
Yeah.
And just a tip that I have, for anyone listening who also feels this way is I like to really, in the beginning, it also felt weird for me to like talk to myself and like just like record this by myself. But I like to keep in mind one of my clients. So I would think about one of the clients that I had, or if I didn't have clients, I would think about like the ideal client that I'm calling in. And I would really visualize that person and I would send the message to their heart.
Mm.
So when I'm creating, it's infused with an energy that's like super intentional and for that person, and it would connect to that person. And I was okay if I didn't get engagement back on it because I just trusted that like not everybody likes to engage, and that's okay. It
I love,
doesn't mean they're not sitting there on their phone being like, "Oh wow," you know?
yeah, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. And it is true. A lot of people don't like to, I don't often, like, I think even for me, I'm not naturally one to engage a lot. Like if I'm engaging, like, no, I've made the effort to,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because the person who actually invited me to that panel, she I had met her when I was a brand photographer at a networking event. And then she had seen on LinkedIn or Instagram that I had pivoted to coaching, but she had never liked anything, never commented on anything. I had no idea she knew I had pivoted. And when I talked to her, she's like, I'm really all about what you're about like, and she was explaining to me what I do and how I help people find jobs that are right for them and all of that. And it was so interesting to see that, okay, like, because for a while I was putting out content. And so that still sits there for people to see. And so she had really into that and I had no idea. So that was a big lesson for me to really realize like it is true. People are always watching and it is resonating with them, what I'm saying, at least the right people. So yeah, I feel like I'll be back. But yeah.
And it manifested you a spot speaking, which then put you in front of more people.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's very cool. That's another thing that I would kind of visualize is just like I want to be put in front of like a lot of people, and I don't know how that's going to happen, but that's the intention that that I have. So like my message can go to as many people as possible. And so that's what you created.
And I think it's really beautiful because I think a part of it was also I was refining my message on like who's my ideal client and who am I really working with. Because, with QCA, it's like, okay, you're coaching energy, so you can coach anyone on anything, which I still believe. And it's so true because I've been working one-on-one with my clients, which means I can tailor what they need, like an individual basis. And I love having such a variety of different clients, which I can, like some want to start their business, some want to start a side hustle, some want to get like a corporate job. And there's just so many different flavors of what people want to do and whether they are still in a job or if they've been laid off or if they left or if they're already starting their business. There's so many different stages and phases of your career journey. And so for me to nail down, like, this is the ideal client, I feel like I just have to really hone in on that message. Is it a specific person or are they in a specific phase? And now I'm realizing it's more of an energetic thing. Like they're just not happy with where they're at. And I'm helping them like figure out what is it that they want. And then why aren't you going for it? Like let's release fears and limiting beliefs and just shift it so that you move, like start taking action. And then I'm like with you on that journey. And so it's just taken a while for me to get there. And I feel like now it's really clear. And so now I think I can show up with a more consistent message and do what you said and like speak to that one person because wise, I understand what I have to do. It's just a matter of like, what is my message? What do I want to say?
And doubling down on that.
Yeah. And I think finally I'm like, I was hesitant to be online because I was still sorting that out. I was still in the messiness and I haven't fully let go of my perfectionism. So I was still like, let me at least just like figure this out a little bit as well. And then now it's like, okay, the message is clear. Now I can actually come out more with a clear message that'll resonate with the right person.
I'm really glad we're getting like some real-time insight as to like what you're moving through right now, because I think it's so valuable for people listening who a lot of people come to me and they're like, I think I need to like figure out what my niche is before I join a program like QCA, or I feel like I need to figure out who my ideal client is specifically before I jump into a big program like this and invest at this level. And what I'm hearing from you is that no, you don't, because you're going to figure it out along the way.
Yes, absolutely. And I love like, yeah, you're going to figure it out along the way, but you have to take action. Like taking action is what leads you to your clarity, which is what I've learned the hard way. Because again, if you've listened to my whole story, it's like I was trying to figure it out from my brain, trying to think and analyze my way through it. And that has never worked for me. And it's not until you like take action and see how you feel and see what you learn, then you get more and more clarity. So yeah. You don't need to know what you're doing before you join QCA.
So good. So good. It's so true. It's like really getting clarity through action it's always been my journey. And I bet you listening, if you look back on your journey, that's also been true, because when we sit and we think and we stay in that mental plane for way too long, we end up in this like indecision. And indecision doesn't move us forward. It just keeps us really fucking stuck.
Yeah. I keep saying indecision is like the worst place to be.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, we don't want to be stagnant anymore, but we can't make a decision. It's like, I'm going through this right now with my front door. We need a new front door. it's like broken. Like it's like not, it's ruining our wood floors because the weather's coming on. And my husband and I just can't make a decision on this front door, what we want it to look like, what we want it to feel like, how bougie we want it to be, how, whatever, the wood, the texture, all of it. We can't make a freaking decision of what looks best with our house. And we're just ruining our floor and we're miserable. And I know that we're going to feel so much better once we just have that front door.
Yeah. Once
And
you just
so
have the decision.
exactly. Once we make the decision, we're just going to feel like so much better. And I know it's so silly. It's the front door. But it's like, it's actually the front door of my house. It's like maybe there's like a deeper meaning there. Why is our front door broken? Okay. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole.
I love
Oh
it.
my God. This is so much fun. So do you have any messages to share for anyone who, comes into QCA, doesn't really have any experience, doesn't really have a real business set up yet, doesn't really like feel scared to make this leap, but knows that they want to do it? Like, what would you tell that person?
I mean, if they know they want to do it, I say just do it. Like,
Yeah.
sign up. I actually was going to say, I know it's to like help coaches become coaches. And at the same time, I feel like QCA is just such an amazing, like even personal development program, because as you're learning to become a coach, what you're really learning is also how to overcome your own fears, work with your own limiting beliefs. And it has really helped me grow. And even as coaches, it's like you can only really help your clients to the extent that you've done the work yourself. And so QCA is you doing the work yourself. And so even if you don't know like what kind of coach you want to be or what niche, or maybe you don't even want to be a coach, like I still think QCA is such an amazing program to join just for your own transformation and improving your relationships with any other people's in your life. It's just very transformative. It's really powerful.
Thank you for saying that. And it's so beautiful to hear, because my intention always, as I started my business as a spiritual life coach, was to create everything from the place of helping people wake up to the power that they have within themselves, right? To remember who they really are and the potential that they have. And I didn't know how it was going to evolve. I didn't know it was going to evolve into this. I couldn't have told you that this was how it was going to be. And that was always my intention, is like to make a transformational program. And now I get to help you transform yourself, but also then take that transformation out to your clients. And I'm like, wow, I'm so blown away by how the universe works in such amazing ways. Like the power of intention. Just wait. I can't wait to see what you create, like what you continue to create, because I think it's just going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I got chills when you're sharing that, because your vision is also so beautiful. Like your calling is so powerful. And speaking of, there is obviously the tool within QCA where you kind of go through what is your calling. And so even if you don't know what you want, if you go through QCA, you'll go through that exercise and get some clarity, and then you can kind of take it from there. And it is actually one of the tools I use with my clients as well. So it's very, very powerful in really getting clear on, for me, obviously, it's the career calling specifically and what you do. And yeah, it's just really powerful. So you'll get clarity either way. Again, just take the action. Like if you know it's right for you, like which I did, I knew this program was right for me. It's just a matter of just finding the means to actually invest and going for it, trusting that it'll be exactly what you need.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. And I love that you said that you use that tool, because that tool specifically is just, it's so amazing. And it's to help you find your, like you said, your calling. And you can use it for any niche, literally any niche. Like you can use it to help someone find their career calling. You can use it to help someone find their soul calling. You can help it. There's so many different ways you can use it. So I'm so excited to hear that you use that for people for their career calling. That's amazing.
I love it.
I know. It's such a good one. It's such a good tool. It's so good. So what are you working on right now? Are you're working with people one-on-one? Are you thinking about launching a group program? Wait, you're You're launching, you're leading a retreat.
Yes, I am leading a retreat with 6 other amazing quantum coaches from QCA, which was so amazing. So yeah, besides learning how to coach and your personal transformation, I've gotten a lot of really close, genuine like friendships come out of QCA. I really feel like this year has just been my QCA year. I feel like
Yeah.
it hasn't stopped because we did the live sessions January through May. And then you were doing your free event again to and a few of us were coming on to kind of share our experiences. And from that group chat, we decided to do a retreat together, which is
So
happening
awesome.
later this month in like 2 weeks, I think. Yeah. And it's just been so beautiful. So since QCA Live stopped, we have been meeting every week since then to plan this retreat. So for me, QCA just has been
Hasn't
going
stopped.
on since it hasn't stopped. Because now that we are all QCA coaches and trained and like certified in all of these various tools and modalities, it's almost like we can be there to support each other and coach each other through the ups and downs of having a business or figuring out your coaching niche or any other things. And so it's been really, really beautiful. So we're getting together to finally like meet each other in person and have an amazing retreat called Follow Your Magic. So it kind of leads into more of helping people figure out like what is their calling, what is their magic, what is their gift, and then helping them share that with the world. Like, how can we again get over
Mhm.
the fears, limiting beliefs, like
Yes.
really lean into those gifts and then so they can share it with the world. And it's just this beautiful ripple effect that just keeps going out. And the beautiful thing is there's 7 of us and we all, even though we're all coaches, all trained from QCA, we all have different niches. Some of us has changed niches since May, which has been beautiful. And so again, it's just as you start doing it, you get the clarity and then you're like, hey, maybe I'm going to pivot my niche to something else, which is incredible. And you can do that.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can do that. And so for the retreat, we all bring a different aspect. Like I like to refer it to kind of like the wheel of life. There's different areas of life. So we have career for me. There's like love and then like just intuition and women empowerment. There's so many things that are just in it that it's really beautiful. So I'm really excited. So
I
that was
can't
another
tell
thing
you.
that came out of
Yeah.
it.
I can't tell you how full I feel. My heart is like exploding with joy and love. Just that you are all going to be creating this experience together, that you met in this program and like you're bringing it out into the world. Like you said, the ripple just keeps going. Like it's surreal to me, honestly. You know,
I
it
love
really
it.
is. I
Yeah.
love it too. I love it too. I love it too. And I try to tell people that when they come into the calls, I'm like, listen, like you're going to meet people that are on such a similar path as you, that want to support you, that want to see you grow. It's probably not like any other friend group you've ever been a part of before. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah. And even like besides the retreat group, which is obviously like 6 other amazing women and coaches, there's so many other people from the program that I'm like, okay, they're like my really close friends. And yes, we do go through that journey together. So if we have anything that we're like stuck on in our business, whether it's like marketing and showing up on social media, or whether it's, I don't know my niche, or can like, how does this sound? Or should I do my program this way? We all kind of can relate and help each
Yeah.
other because we're all going through it we're going through the same thing, just at different times. And so we can be there as friends and we can be there to coach each other through it. So it's just really, really beautiful. And I have like, my heart is so full. There's so many friendships that came out of it. And yeah, I don't feel like it's ended. And obviously you have alumni groups and things like that, but it hasn't ended and I don't want it to end.
Yes. That's the thing, is like you're with us forever. Like once you're in, you're our family forever, literally. Like we're never letting go. Oh my gosh, this has been so good. I'm so grateful for you sharing your journey, because I think everyone listening can see themselves in parts of your story and relate to what you're saying, even if it's not coaching. You know, we're always taking risk. We're always making decisions. We're always having an opportunity to move through fear. and we're always looking to create something. So I'm just so grateful that you're able to share your experience in QCA. Thank you so much for that. And I would love to ask you, Lizzie, what makes you a badass manifester?
That's a great question. I feel like I've always manifested everything I need. Now, that may not be what I want at the time, but it's been exactly what I need, which has been huge because I love personal development and growth and all of that. But I really view manifestation as like this co-creation with the universe. So it's just as long as I set my intention and kind of follow what lights me up, what excites me, and I do the work and take action based on that, I know fully that the universe is going to like meet me halfway and give me exactly what I want. So I think it's just that trust in both myself and my feelings, and like, okay, this excites me. I can trust that I should go this way. And then knowing that I don't have to worry so much about it. I don't have to manage all the risks.
Yes.
The universe will take care of it and give me the other pieces, or introduce me to things and people, or QCA or whatever I might need. It'll just kind of put it in my path. So yeah, that's what I think makes me a badass manifester.
I'm really digging that answer. No one's ever said that before, that they manifest what they need, and that kind of puts them on their path. That's so cool. So beautifully said. Oh my gosh. Okay. Where can everyone connect with you if someone's like, okay, I need a career coach? Lizzie is your girl. Obviously, she's an amazing coach. She can hold such beautiful space for you and help you get on your path. So how can they connect with you, and where can they find you?
Yeah. I would love to connect with anyone who feels called to, or is like stuck in their indecision around their career. I'm pretty easy to find as long as you can spell my name. So it's Lizzie.
So Brett, we're going to cut some of that out. We're going to redo that. So I'm just going to ask her again, how can people, like, after I ask her, how can people work with you? So, okay, Lizzie, how can everyone learn more about you, work with you, and coach with you? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, I need a career coach, and Lizzie sounds like the perfect person for me. What does that look like?
Yeah, thank you. I currently am fully booked for my one-on-one clients, and I should be opening spots next month. So if anyone is interested, they can join my wait list. So I'll share the link in the Instagram bio, and you can see it on my website as well. And I'm pretty easy to find anywhere, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, even my website. Everything is under my name, Lizzie Korsgaard. So it's LIZZIEKORSGAARD.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you spelled it, because I would have not known that if you didn't spell it. So, okay, amazing. Lizzie's fully booked, but she's opening up spots. So if you are meant for one of those spots, go to the link in her bio or the link in our show notes. Join the wait list, fill out her form, book your discovery call. I know you like to get on calls with everyone to kind of make sure it's the right fit for them and for you. And take it from there. You have nothing to lose. Get on the wait list, book your call, take it from there. I'm so excited for you. I'm so pumped for everything you're creating. I can't wait to hear about the Own Your Magic retreat, you leading your retreat. It's going to be incredible. Sending you all so much love to lead that. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Yay. All right, everyone, go connect with Lizzie. And thank you so much for tuning in. And we will talk to you next week. Woo. We did some work today. Thank you so much for listening. You know I love my BAM fam. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who you know would love it too, because we live for the ripple effect over here. And how can you best support the show? Make sure you're subscribed, hit the 5 stars, and leave a review on iTunes, and let me know how the podcast has impacted you. I love being part of your real-time journey, so screenshot the episode and tag me and my guests on Instagram at ManifestWithAsh. Now say it with me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my own energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. We don't just talk about it over here, we be about it. Now go get 'em.